hurricane or storm season over the summer,
Is it?
and I'm hoping that that's
Is it
true.
really?
Okay.
Are we protected and we have enough money that, I mean, I was here when Sandy hit, and I know the devastation it did to the town and the expense that it caused the town as far as the cleanup and everything. Are we gonna be okay if we do get hit with the storm?
Well, we have money for storms for November, December. I can't say how much that would be, but I think we have enough to sort of say that we are covering it. And if anything happens like that, in that case, we actually did get FEMA funds. So that would offset any expenses if it's considered a national disaster or a local disaster. I'm not sure how that's designated, so.
I mean, and I think realistically, you know, not touching the equipment budget to cover these is wise because, you know, we have an aging fleet and we really have to start bringing it up so that we don't run into these, you know, I mean, we can't help, the snow we couldn't help.
Not the equipment is the small one.
Right, but I'm saying, we can't do anything about the snow, and if we had a mild winter, you know, we'd be dancing right now. But, you know, these past 2 winters have really been horrific. And, you know, with the repairs and stuff, because of our aging fleet, hopefully, once we really start modernizing the fleet, at least we can cut our repairs. And that's the dream, right? Anybody else have any questions?
Good job, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. You're probably going to want to stay up. Oh, no. The next item is the Highway Department. One of the things that's, and Rich, if you want to come up. The first thing under the Highway Department is a welder position. And I know this is something that certainly this board has discussed before, and I think previous boards have also discussed the possibility of hiring a full-time welder. There is, under the Teamster contract, there is a position that is welder/mechanic, and the person would basically fulfill both of those.
Thanks, Rich.
Would fulfill both of, you know, those roles, so that if there was, you know, not enough welding, which it doesn't seem like there's ever not enough welding, but that person could also obviously work as a mechanic.
I see you're bringing this up. This person is not under your chain of command.
No, who's under your chain of command?
Not mine.
Nick's, who's under your chain of
Well, we
command?
put it under this just because it impacts the Highway Department. But yes, we'll bring up Nick Mancuso from
Do you want me up to do it?
Municipal
It should be
Repairs.
him presenting it.
Yes.
It would be his.
Yeah.
Probably reported to the Workers' Highway, so.
Go ahead, Nick.
With the costs, as you can see, with the welders that we do hire on the outside, I feel it would be cost effective for the town of Kent to have a welder on board full-time. There's definitely plenty of work to keep him busy all day long, and he could aid in the mechanic department as being a mechanic's helper also. So I think it'd be win-win for the town of Kent.
I disagree, but my point is as we go now, we pay the bill is paid, it's over with. If we hire a new head, we're gonna be paying lifetime pension and health costs. I'm not in favor of it.
I think they did the work as far as the math here to show that it would be probably cost effective to have someone on board as opposed to what we're doing right now.
I disagree.
How long until a Teamster gets to retire? How many years has to go in before he retires? 20?
I think it's 20 and the age, 55 years old.
You
And
go 30 years.
I mean, in theory, we could be paying, 40 years from now, we could be paying a welder and paying welders family health insurance of 20 grand a year, at that point it's gonna be 40 grand a year, and paying the welder we just hired now his health insurance at 20 grand a year, and paying the welder that came after him his health insurance 20 grand a year. Like, when you look into the future, based on the life expectancy of individuals and the fact that as a union position, this is lifetime, everything forever, there's gonna come a point where we're gonna have stacked people who are not providing any service to the town of Kent, but are taking, upwards of $100,000 a year of resources. So 60 years from now, we're gonna be paying, $300,000 a year for welding, where now we're paying $100,000.
Okay, but you also have to keep in mind, right now, a welder that we're working with, because I do beat the welders up that we have now, at $125 an hour. The average for a welder now is $155 to $160 an hour. That cost will go up also. I mean, there's no two ways about it that what we're doing right now, the welders that I'm using, the two welders right now, we have them on the low ball of the scale of welders as far as price goes. They can very well raise their rate, but they know that it's work, constant work that I'm giving them, so they're looking at that as far as the abundance of the work. It's long-term. But as the years go on, the welding expenses do increase, their rate's going to increase. So I think that it would tip the scale on the other side, where it would be cost-effective for the town to have a welder.
It costs us $100,000 for that employee every year, right now.
For the rest of his life.
Right now, it's $100,000.
Well, the cost for the welder here, if I see,
That's his annual salary and benefit package will be $100,000.
Oh, I see what you're saying, the one that we sub out.
No. If we hired an employee today in that position as a welder/mechanic, because that's the title in the contract,
it would cost the town
it would
$100,000.
cost us at least $100,000 between salary and benefits.
And if I were to hire a welder now, the one welder we have now is really going away, he's getting older.
Yeah,
It
but
would be
once we
cost.
pay that bill, it's over.
Yeah, but the welders, right now, that would cost us $150,000 the way I see it.
But it's a paid bill, it's over. I'm not paying that guy's benefit package for the rest of his life.
But it'd be aiding the town of Kent and also helping out other departments
We
too.
get a GASB report every year from, we have to get an audit to say how much is the town on the hook for future pension and benefits. The town today is, if I remember the last one, we were over $5 million
For what, Mike?
for pension and healthcare costs.
Oh, okay, well, we're not privy to that.
It's public, it's a meeting, we do it here. It's the town's expense to pay pension and healthcare, the benefit package for all our employees forever. It comes up every year.
May I make some comments?
Yeah.
It's just, Nick and I, it's our job to present the facts to you, and it's purely your choice. I have, Michelle, 89,000 as the yearly cost right now with benefits.
That was the last
I
2 years,
can
roughly.
tell you what every mechanic is made with the hidden benefits package we have.
This was just done,
She just did that.
89,945.
And the
We have-
welder just cost us last year.
90,000.
90,000 or 99,000.
Yeah, but we pay that bill and it's over. I'm not paying his health insurance and his pension costs for the rest of his life.
Can I just, the
When he
comments?
goes away, it's over. You understand my point?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, I understand.
Nick, now, since this would be, this is classified as a welder mechanic.
A mechanic helper welder, yes.
No, I think it's mechanic.
The classification
It's
hasn't been
mechanic.
upgraded in years, but the comments I just want to say is that this position was filled at one time, and it was vacated, and we never refilled the billet again. Even though Nick serves at your pleasure, I live with him. I see him more than my wife now, and we're in the garage through this, day in and day out, and majority of his work is the town trucks. As far as the person that we predominantly use right now is not going to be, he's going to be retiring soon. And it's just that he lives very close. He's a master welder. And it's just been a great marriage for the town to have him there. It's not going to last forever. And doing the storms, when you have breakdowns doing storms and you have to go out and get 3 prices to get a competitive bid. You might have a truck sitting there for 3 weeks waiting to get the guy to get back to you to get the bid in, and that truck is out of service for the town. Like for instance, our grader, we just had do some repairs on the grader, and right now the dirt roads are a mess in this town, and this is when the grader should be working, but we had to wait to get welding repairs and everything on it because we had to get an outside person. And I really, in my opinion, having an in-house person is going to benefit the town. And Nick made a very good point, was the welding cost of a subcontractor is going to go up over the years.
So is the salary.
So
is the
I
pension
think
cost, so is the health insurance.
they're going to travel on the same plane.
Yeah, but I guess the point I think Mike is trying to make, and I'm trying to make, is that at one point, because of retirement, we're going to be paying 2 welders. And it could be 17 years from now. I don't know, they come in as a Teamsters with a certain amount of credit, or, I don't know. But at some point in the very near future, we're going to be paying 2 welders. We're going to be paying double, because we're going to be paying the pension benefits and the healthcare benefits of the
I
one that
understand,
retires,
Paul.
and then the one we have to hire. So in the very near future, this cost is going to double.
Oh, I agree with you, but we also have a service to provide to the residents to pay the taxes, and that's my point.
There hasn't been a welder in the position for the last 15 years.
Yeah, but times, I'll tell you, the equipment and to be, I guess, effective the way I see it, it would be more efficient to have somebody on board. I mean, even as the other end to even help out the mechanic shop to have that extra hand, we're just so overloaded with work. And come like the last 2 winters that we've had, it's just constant catch-up.
If it wasn't union, I'd give it a lot more consideration. But the fact is, we live.
No, you guys have to run the numbers. I understand where you're coming from.
We're basically tied to this individual. We can't fire him without arbitration. We can't decide we don't want the position anymore without trouble. I mean, if we do this, we're locked in. Unfortunately, we're not a right to work state. We don't get to hire somebody and say, oh, okay, things have changed 2 years from now. We're stuck. This decision is a decision that's going to stay with the town of Kent for.
No, very
long
good
period,
point.
so-
I agree with you. It's just, it's for you guys to throw it around. All we can do is
Present it, yeah.
give our opinion.
But now this person would also be a mechanic.
Yes.
I mean,
No, they would just said helper.
A mechanic.
but no, but the title is not mechanic.
This
Welder,
job description is
In the
antiquated.
title, it
Mechanic
says
helper.
welder slash mechanic.
Mechanic
in
slash
the
welder,
contract.
right.
But this,
So-
Mike, this job description this thing is like 30 years old. It's never been updated.
Right.
It says minimum
Tony
requirements.
Caravetta was the last welder the town had.
Right.
That's how long the position wasn't filled.
Right, so if we lost somebody, say, I don't know how close to retirement any of the mechanics in the shop are, but if somebody were, say, close to retirement,
It
I mean, even
doesn't
if-
look like anyone's that close, I'm
okay,
sorry.
but I mean, even then if we, I don't know if certainly we're not ready to do this tonight, but this might be something, if there's no interest in it at this point, that if there was attrition in municipal repairs, then it might behoove us for the next person hired, even if we don't want to create another position, to hire somebody that is a welder mechanic to take one of those open positions, because then we don't have an issue of creating an extra slot pension.
But also, I agree with you, but also, if the statement is that this is so outdated, this should be cleaned up first before we even consider hiring.
I know, then we go through a whole process with the
It
county.
doesn't,
I just
think the
dug
verb-
that
still
out
has,
of the-
if you're saying this is shortcomings, we have to fix this shortcoming first, because if we do hire somebody, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
do have a problem with them, we have to go by this to try.
No, I have to retract
the
what
problem.
Richie said.
See, I dug this out of
Fix
the,
the qualifications. I think just the word mechanic slash helper is
But
what,
that's in the contract.
right. But as far as the qualifications goes for a mechanic welder, I feel the verbiage is correct.
but the other thing that I dug this out of the archives, or Angela did yesterday, and the thing that hit me was the minimum qualifications is 2 years' experience as a welder at a journeyman level. We have, between Nick and I, we have 5 or 6 candidates that have 15 years, and they have, licensed credentials where they can weld school buses, and they can do structural welding, which I really don't want, a journeyman. I want a guy that knows what he's doing. And so that was the one thing that struck me. I'm like, it's 2 years' experience is really not what we have. It's
I guess what excites me too with this position is that municipal repairs is always, we're just so bombarded all the time. We just have another set of hands I feel it would run that much more effective too, for the town of Kent. And that's the other exciting part of it. I can probably see a little bit of daylight on some.
Let me ask you a question. If, in this position, I mean, he works as a welder mechanic. He's not allowed to drive a truck then, in the snow or snow.
No, they will not do a snow route, because they work for the town. They
Yeah,
work,
it's municipal.
he would work for you guys, not for Nick and
Yeah.
ultimately you. But I just, like I said, we live together, Nick and I now. And we're just,
How's that working?
we get along. You got Jack Dempsey and Rocky Marciano here together, so.
Well, I'm sure we'll make you happier when we get to the authorizations of equipment you want to buy, so why don't we?
No, look, we had to present the facts to you. There's a lot of good candidates out
I'm
there.
only one person, I don't know what the rest.
I mean, I don't think anybody's ready to vote tonight.
Just
I think
remember
that-
Have a resolution.
But
Yeah,
just so that you know,
but I don't
are
have it on the
totally
agenda.
disheartened, okay?
What's that, Penny?
Just so that you're not totally disheartened, there are those of us on the board that think it would be a good idea to have a full-time welder
Yes.
mechanic. I'm one of them.
No, I'd rather
We
have
don't have to.
I'd
We
rather
can-
have you guys discuss
We can
it.
talk about this.
You know, talk with
more.
Michelle, get,
Yeah,
and just,
I think we have
we're
to-
not looking for a hasty decision. I'd rather have you really sit down
And we don't have money in the budget for this.
no.
But the cost of welding will go up. I mean, it's very close to now, the next set of welding
And
bills.
costing of.
We've had a
engineering.
huge
got
amount
this
of
We
job
talk about
description from
welding
the
bills a
county?
lot, you know,
What's that?
for the welder.
You got this
It's
job
really
description
gonna
from
be
the
well.
county?
I believe this came from the county. Andrew, did this come from the county? It did come from the county.
Is there a, wait a minute, is there a date on the bottom of it?
Oh, no.
509,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, 09.
5/09.
But they have different positions with the county than we have in the
You
in the
can
different
change
towns.
your
that-
job, you know, you can change your job description as a form, you gotta go through the process. But, the one thing though, and you mentioned the journeyman, and you have 10 or 15-year experienced gentlemen that, you know, 5
Several of
guys.
them, not just
Yeah,
one, several.
But then will they start at the
Yes.
salary that we?
Oh, yes, I would insist on that.
Yeah.
I would not want a higher salary. I mean, there's jobs are hard to come by nowadays, and I would insist that they, you know, the pay scale that's in the contract, that's what they would follow, or else they don't get the job. I mean, I pay taxes in this town too, and I want to,
Grab a craftsman now, while the opportunity is a lot.
Well, I think, you know, if we really believe in this, when we have the budget process and sharpen up this job description.
okay, that's fair.
And, but I kind of, at this point, side with Paul and Mike on the cost. But I also, what Maureen mentioned, you know, if somebody, you know, retires or decides to move on, and you're saying, no, nobody's going to do that at this point, we just can't increase everything. We want to keep taxes down, and that's why I challenged Richie a couple of meetings ago. You know, we're trying to do what your requests and stuff, but there's going to be a time that we have to say no, because we've got to, you know, we're going to price everybody out of the town. And let's see
You're
what
doing your
happens.
job, you guys are doing your job.
Maybe
But
there's,
I think one of the interests, though, and this has been mentioned a couple of times, is that one of the problems with hiring an outside contractor is that they're not necessarily there. And we've been very lucky with, you know, the welders we have had that, you know, are like Johnny on the spot when we need them. But, you know, looking down the road, if we don't have that kind of relationship, then we might be in trouble. I mean, last year, I think it was within the first month of, you know, Richie and I being on the job, I think 6 trucks went down. And Richie was reconsidering, you know, what he had
It
done,
may not have all been welding issues.
Well,
the bulk.
the majority of it was with
Yeah.
plows and frames, and, I mean, you will see welding bills coming through again this month, and unfortunately, they are gonna increase. I've been getting, you know, word from the welders that their costs are going up, and I usually work a set price with them, and they're telling me that they necessarily can't do that anymore with me. That was one of my feelings I told Rich. This is what's coming down the pike with these people now, and this is about 5 or 6 welders I'm talking to, and naturally, I get the best price from the welders we're dealing with now. And even they're talking about their increase, what they call perishables price has gone up. Gas, rods, equipment. So I know those welding bills are going to increase. That's why I figured I'd bring it up to you guys.
And we fill welders' tanks now on our own
Well, that's what we use.
and we don't pay tax on it, where if you get somebody else coming in from outside, they'll say, no, I'll resupply my own stuff from shore and whatever.
Pay their
But, you know, throw it around, talk about it.
I do understand what you mean
It's the
about it.
pension and health.
Yeah.
We can revisit it, like Bill said, we can revisit it at budget time, and,
Yeah.
But-
But based on what Mike said, you know, if you really want to look at figures, I know there's a young lady back there could really pull out some figures that it would shock you, because what Paul said is that you will have another one. We'll be paying, and this is
It's
why
perpetual. No,
government's
it's
all
perpetual.
screwed up, so we need to hold the line.
I just want to
And
put it
then
on the radar screen.
Priorities. Oh, you got it. It's on the radar screen. Maureen will
We've
keep us
talked about it
informed.
in the past. We've gone, everyone's run the numbers, because it jumps off the page when you see the welding course every
Yeah.
year. And we've talked about it, other boards, and said, you know, it's the tipping point was always the benefit package.
You know, the other
Not the
thing I want to
salary.
say too is, 20 years ago, the highway department had 37 employees. We're down to 19 guys. And we have 212 miles of road, so everybody's stretched out and, you know, we're run thin. There's just a lot of, you know, especially after this winter, there's just a lot of stuff to take care of. And at one point they had, I think you said 19 guys just at the 301 garage, and the other half were at this garage. So it was a large force, so it's been, I mean, in my opinion, there's nothing left for the soup but the bone. So it's, you know, so that's, all right, we'll leave it at that. You guys, please discuss it, and, you know, Nick and I, we basically been talking about this for a few months. And you know, and I've been talking to Maureen, and I thank Michelle a lot, because I love her, so she's good. So, anyway, we'll leave it at that. Wait, so you can't go anywhere yet.
The next item is the purchase authorization.
Really need trucks, guys?
No, here's the next,
Either that or more welding.
the next request, and I spoke to Michelle about this. We have access to these government websites, and things come up on the screen that are good deals. And Tony Hay in the town of Southeast, they just bought 3 good pickups, 4-wheel drive, from the Forestry Service, and they paid about
3,500 to 8,000.
$8,000 each.
Trucks that are worth 20,000.
You gave me the power to spend $8,000 last year, which I really appreciate. I'm not gonna, I've been talking to Maureen about this, and I wouldn't feel comfortable asking for more than $8,000, because I'm not asking that. What's that, Mike?
You would spend it.
Yes.
I would spend it.
Wisely.
But here's what I'm gonna ask, because like what Maureen asked, and I talked to Tony Hay, and he said what he does, Mike Burdick is their head mechanic, and Mike Bruin is their highway super. So when they go on the site, it will be on there for a day, and you gotta push the button, you gotta buy it. So when we're going through the site, here's my idea. If we see something, you know, well, after the next session with me tonight, I'm not looking to do anything with this until a few more months from now. But if we go on the site and we see 2 pickups from the West Virginia whatever, and they're $9,000 each, if I can get in verbal touch with 3 council people, and you guys, and I have at least 3 people that give me a yes. Because what they do in Southeast,
Look at the fact.
I don't, God bless Southeast, but unless the state comptroller says we can do it and the lawyer says we can do it,
well, they're doing it, and they're getting good deals. And Tony Hayes said that they buy it, and then he brings it to the board approves it.
That's a little different than what you just said, though. They buy it first, and then they go back to the board
If
for
they see a
approval,
good deal,
but
and the town board meeting's
Yeah.
not for another 10 days.
I just have a problem with the 3 verbal approvals over the phone, because you're asking them to vote, and it would basically
No,
not
votes.
be
I
an
mean, Richard,
open
that
meeting.
sounds good. If I call up and I say, look, I got 2 pickups, they're $9,000 each, they only have 25,000 miles on them, 4-wheel drive, they look good. Mike, it's not a vote, just, yeah, it sounds good, you know, it comes down to a matter of trust, and it comes down to getting a good bargain.
I understand the logic, and I know what you're trying to accomplish. As long as it's legal and it's within your budget, you have the money in your budget, you don't come back to me.
Oh, no,
for
the
more
budget would
money.
have to be in the budget.
You know, as long as they find a legal way, I understand.
I think what the issue is, like, is because it's a bidding site.
I know, I understand.
Yeah, and I mean, let me tell you,
Because that's how we sold.
I saw the pictures of these trucks, and the engines were, you could eat off them if
But you
you were
also have to
interested in
remember, you
doing
also
that.
then incur the cost of sending someone to go get it. and they're not going along.
Yeah, no.
Well, listen, I don't, if it's in your equipment budget and you don't come back to us next month saying how we need this new truck because the winter's bad, and you want to spend your equipment budget on stuff that you feel the highway department needs, you're the head of the highway department, we should approve, I mean, we should in theory approve it. The problem is that if, you make these great purchases and all of a sudden we have a situation where, we need a
Then I'm
dump body.
liable. That, I mean, it comes
We're
down
gonna
to
be
a
in
matter of
trouble
trust.
because then we're put in a position where we then have to say no to you for something you're telling us we need, and we didn't get a chance to
Then
say
I'm in
no
trouble.
to the previous.
If I know what's in my budget, then, I mean, I believe that I probably explained it wrong. I mean, if you see me riding
No, you
around,
explained it.
No, we got
I
it.
just want to make sure it's legal.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a way to authorize him, if you know what the equipment is that you're looking for, but you don't know what's available, come to the board with a list of things that you want, and they could authorize you to spend a certain amount of money on certain items. Maybe that's what they're doing in the town of Southeast, and get prior approval. This way, you're not coming back after the fact, after you agree to purchase something without having
Find
town
out
board
what Tony
approval.
Hayes
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Find out.
town
He just-
attorney
he
in
lets them
Southeast,
do it and then he come
you know
back.
him or her?
Will Stevens, yeah.
Find out, well, Will?
Sure.
Find out how he,
I mean, we're looking for pickups this year. So if you get a new like F-250, like my own personal truck, with a plow and four-wheel drive, you're gonna spend $60,000, easy. If you get a dump truck, like my personal dump truck right now, it's $75,000. If I can pick one up, say, 10 to 15,000, and it's in my budget, okay,
Yeah, I don't have a problem, as long as it's
okay.
legal.
No, I appreciate it, it's a way to go, but I
The
wouldn't do
town
it
bought
without confirming
surplus
with me.
vehicles in the past.
What's that, Mike?
The town has done that in the past, bought surplus,
I just get nervous because of my limit. I don't wanna, get in trouble with it.
Over your limit.
All right, my last
the
thing,
army surplus, yes.
Yeah, but these are government.
We've also bought a bucket truck from, the bucket truck we bought from a website.
Yeah, this website has both military and other governmental departments, like the trucks that you're talking about were from
Forestry
forestry.
The
Service.
bucket truck,
Yeah.
that's how we got that bucket truck.
Yeah. If it's something, yeah, if we deem it, all right, then that's fine. And the last thing, I just want to make an announcement. Tomorrow, we're starting the excavation for the salt shed. We're doing the excavation ourselves. I have places to get rid of dirt. There's different people that come in and they ask, and there's places we can dump it. Any town resident, we're on TV now, that needs fill, as long as there's not a DEP or a DEC issue, we need to get rid of fill. And I can truck it to your site. We just have to get rid of it, and I can't stockpile it there.
Do not tell my husband.
What's that, Penny?
Don't tell my husband.
I can't hear anymore.
Don't tell Gil.
Oh. But that's, I want to make, because I want to make sure I'm fair and everyone has an equal shot at it.
Can we do that?
What's that?
Can that be done?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my town attorney.
Well, last year, we had the same situation. I spoke to Tim Curtis, and Tim said as long as I distribute it equally, and no one's favored, I'm allowed to do it. So I have a list, and I looked at it today. I have 17 different names, residents that it went to last year. And we have to get rid of it. There's nowhere to do, it's not like the old days.
Let me just take a quick look at that tomorrow morning, and I'll get back to you if that's okay. I think it is, it sounds,
Don't even
it's
look.
not really
Don't even look.
equipment or anything like that, so it's not like we have to
You brought it
get
up.
permission to get
Well, I
rid
wanna
of
make sure-
equipment, but it should be fine.
Okay.
I can let you back. Mike.
Don't even look. I
And
just
do you want
wanna
to
make that
talk
public.
about the dump body and the other?
You wanna do the other stuff
That's what we're
now?
ready to vote on tonight.
Well, if you want it, we have to.
Yeah, we got to talk about it.
Okay, if item A with Michelle is passed first, then I can go with item B, and we're gonna buy a stainless steel dump body for truck number, what was that?
32.
32, which is what year?
And that 2003 International six-wheel dump.
12 years old, the truck is still good, the dump body from the salt and everything is rusted out, we're gonna spend some more money on a stainless steel dump. The dump is probably gonna outlive the truck, but we're gonna be able to flip that dump to another older truck as the truck goes down.
Didn't we have a stainless steel dump
Well, in the
body
past, we didn't
that
buy-
was on a truck that rolled over, or there was some problem with it? Couldn't we take that?
No, that truck's going back in service. The truck that rolled last week or 2
All
weeks?
right, but didn't I get an email a while back? He's saying yes, saying that there was a truck that was now too far gone to even use, and you were gonna take the...
Different
the-
truck.
Oh, no,
the-
that's a different truck. That was-
Different truck.
You can't use
That
that?
truck is in service though, and the body that was on that truck was no longer in service, the body was
Right.
too far.
And you were going to take the back of it, or... the dump
Well,
part of it.
The little
Actually, I
sandwich.
used it. Yeah, we just think of the dump body itself. That dump body was too far gone to use. And that's why we use that truck as a sander. We literally put a sander in place of a dump body. And that truck's still in motion. It's a 1998 truck that we used to sand the roads.
You'll see the truck, because it's a big truck with a tiny little sander in the back, because the frame won't hold the big sander. But the truck runs, so, you know, we use it for smaller routes.
But we have been replacing dump bodies with the AR plate
We
or
get
hot
4
rod
of them,
steel.
right? 4 of them?
Yes, the number 4. And we wanted to try something different. We finally found a company that will fit our needs where they have what's called a side discharge because of the little so-called low pads that we go down with the large dump trucks. And we finally found this company that makes them in stainless steel. So it would actually equate to the same amount of money that we would do when we were replacing a dump body with a hard ox metal. But the difference is we would have to paint that body. So it would come out to the same cost as the new stainless, but stainless we don't paint. And stainless will definitely give us even more life than the AR body plates.
Right, but with the 4 new dump bodies we put on,
They're
with
still in motion.
with the 3 trucks, the 4 trucks that the new dump bodies went on, that we sent out
Yeah.
for sanding and painting, our welding costs should be starting to go this way with all that money we invested.
Yeah, but there's still 95s and 98s.
Yeah, but the
and
dump
things
bodies
happen.
are
Dump
gonna
bodies, I
replace.
got
The frames, though, I mean,
plow frames and frames that are getting.
We had them all sandblasted and redone.
Yeah, they get tired, Mike. They get tired.
I had my shoulder redone, and I still.
Me too.
But
But the stainless will be a nice addition, it'll be a great.
it's gonna
I
outlive the
agree.
truck.
I mean, we were talking about buying stainless.
Years
It
ago.
never had one to fit our needs. Now they finally have, they're making side discharge because other municipalities or private industry are finally complaining, hey, we're tired of changing our dump bodies. Let's do something. And then we finally done.
Is it in your equipment budget?
This is in the budget, Paul.
Is it what you want?
This is what we want.
This is your professional opinion, that's fine.
This, after
With me, at
the
least.
purchase
I
of
don't
these
speak for
trucks,
anybody else.
there'll be $37,000 left. Michelle and Angela and I, and Nick went over, this is gonna be $37,000 left in my new equipment line. I'm not gonna touch that, you know, except for like if we need a chainsaw or something. That's what I wanna keep in reserve for pickups with the military site come fall. If I have enough in there, you
You
know,
got a plan?
Yeah,
and then,
I'm not gonna give you a hard time if it's in your equipment budget, so it's there, it's what you guys need, it's what the town needs, that's fine. And with me, at
My
least.
view is, we took money from the taxpayers, and we built up a fund balance with the idea, the prior administration's goal was to build a new highway garage. That was their goal, the prior highway superintendent. That was his goal. He wanted a new facility. You've come in and said to us, give me some of that money, and I can reinvent the building we have and give the taxpayer $35 years of life out of that, excuse me. So we took that money from the taxpayer. I'm in favor, as long as it goes back to a reusable, sustainable item for the highway department. I think that's fair to the taxpayer.
I think come August, you're gonna be very proud of what you see down there with the salt dome up, and we're starting the addition on next building. I think you're gonna be very happy with what you see. And the other thing I wanna say, with these trucks coming, Nick did a great job with the old trucks that are refurbished. So now what we can do with the old girls, we can put them in the bullpen, and we have these new trucks that do the routes. So when a truck goes down, right? When the truck goes down, now we have a truck that, we're not having an old truck doing 2 routes at the same time, or for instance, in a storm this year, we had an old truck doing 3 routes because we had 6 down. So now we have some good rebuilt spares that we're gonna have these for a long time. And they're not gonna be used every day.
How's the Parks Department's trucks, Lake Carmel Park District and Kent Park? How they doing? Because I heard
pretty good.
they're doing some plowing and stuff.
Yeah, they don't work as hard as highway does, so they're doing pretty good. I know Recreation has their one truck that's getting ready for a dump body and the frames to get preserved, or start to think about replacing that truck.
Well, I have to say, I mean, going down to the highway garage, I really have to commend you for the job that, you know, you and the guys have done with expanding the yard and, you know, refurbishing the building. It's really you know, you
I
say,
couldn't believe
but
the work that
it-
had been
it's
done there. It was
really
incredible.
day and night from when you walk in
And
the
of
door.
course, we know that you're keeping that one picture off the wall. We're not putting that one picture back up on the wall, are we, Richie?
I had a Penny General Custer on the wall, and Penny came down and said, "I hear the Whopper, I'm going to take it off the wall." All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.